Welcome to Intermediate English with Gregg. That's me. So, let's get started. Well, let's warm up with the weather.
Greg, how's the weather today?
It's very bright today. It's very bright today. Let's check the board. The question, how's the weather today? For today's phrase, maybe this is not so difficult. We have this, it's very bright. Using the word bright. Right? Now, bright, of course, can have two meanings. One, it can be, yes, like akarui. Okay? But when we're talking about the weather, right, the word bright, of course, is more the idea mabushi. Right? So, of course, it's maybe a very sunny day, right? But it's very bright. Right? So, today's phrase, not so difficult. But let's practice it. I'll ask the question, and please use today's phrase. So, how's the weather today? Great. Now, for today's lesson. Well, for today's lesson, right, we're going to talk about experience. Right? Now, the grammar that we will use today, this may bring back memories of junior high school. Maybe these are not always good memories, right? But talking about experience, right, is very useful and a good way to start a conversation or to continue the conversation. So, right, we are going to talk about experience. Right? Now, I'm sure you already know the patterns. We're going to use, of course, these two patterns. The first one, of course, talking about I have. Or the shorter version, I've, of course, okay. Or the pattern, I have never. Or, of course, here, I've never. Right? So, when you're talking about this pattern, of course, yeah, したことがある, したことがない, right? That's not difficult. The part that students don't like is when they have to use this. That PP, maybe you know, is that kakobunshi. In Japanese, you don't have these kind of words. Right? Unfortunately, in English we do. Right? Right? Now, there are, of course, many verbs, and all of them do have this PP tense. Right? But there are many that you may never use. So today we're going to talk about a few common words, or a few words that are maybe easy to make a mistake with. Right? So, talking about this idea I have, one of the most common ideas is people say, I have been to, and then the place. Right? It might be a foreign country, like I've been to Spain. Right? It might be a prefecture in Japan, like I've been to Aomori. It can even be like a shop, right? Like I've been to Gyukaku. Right? So, right? That's maybe very simple. Right? Now, some people misunderstand and they want to use the word gone to. So they want to say, I've gone to Spain. Right? Been to and gone to, right, are not exactly the same. Been to is the easy pattern, right? Yes. Like I've been to Spain means sometime in my life, yeah, I went to Spain. Right? But if you say I've gone to Spain, that yes, okay, I went to Spain, but I'm still there. Right? The easy way to think of gone to is basically you are not here. Right? So, like if someone said about a business situation, maybe on the telephone. Okay? And someone asks, may I speak to Mr. Suzuki? Like, I'm sorry, he's gone to Tokyo. Okay? Okay? So that means he's not here. He went to Tokyo and he is still there. Okay? So to talk about experience, we're not going to use this pattern gone to, just the pattern been to. Right? Places that you have been to. Right? Or of course, places that you have never been to. Right? Like maybe I've been to Shikoku, right? But I've never been to Kyushu. How about you? Where have you been and haven't been? Right? I'm sure there are many answers for this, okay? But this is an easy pattern to use. Right? The other pattern I want to talk about today, right, is the difference between these two words. Okay? Now, the first point of these two words is the pronunciation. Okay? Because these words, of course, okay, come from the word here. But in the PP tense, okay, pronunciation changes. Many people want to say heard. That's not correct. The correct pronunciation is heard. Okay? So this is here, but this one is heard. So point number one is the pronunciation. Okay? Now, point number two, okay? Okay? The idea of heard and the idea of heard of are, again, not the same. Okay? We use the idea of heard when we're talking about the sound. Okay? Okay? So maybe I'm listening to the radio. There is a song playing on the radio. Okay? But maybe this is my first time to hear that song. So maybe I would use the pattern, I've never heard this song before. Okay? I'm just talking about the sound. Okay? Okay? Heard of, okay? Heard of is more you're talking about the name. Basically, if someone says, I've never heard of, basically means I don't know. Okay? Okay? That the name is a new name. Okay? So, okay, for example, if someone asked, have you ever been to, and maybe a city's name, okay? But like, that's the first time to hear that city name. I've never heard of that city before. Or I've never heard of that restaurant before. So the heard of we often use when you're talking about the name. Okay? Heard is with the sound, heard of would be with the name. So, okay, like if we were talking about the idea of this song, okay, and I said, I have never heard this song, okay, means, of course, this is my first time to listen to it. Okay? But if I have never heard of this song, is not the music, but the name of the song. Like, I've never heard of that song. We're only talking about the name. Okay? So, right? These are two situations that are easy to misunderstand. Okay? So when you're talking about your experience about places, okay, you can use the word been to. Now, there are other options. You could use the word visited. Okay? Okay. I have visited. You could use the word I have traveled to. Okay? So there are other options. But the idea gone to has a different meaning. It means you are not here. And heard of is the difference of talking about the sound of something or heard of the name of something. Now, we will continue this idea of experience in future lessons. But that's all for today. Okay? See you next time.